The Michael Cohen recording shows that the president lied about not knowing about a payoff to a former Playboy model who says she had a 10th-month affair with him. But do Republicans on Capitol Hill even care at this point? CNN's Manaraju has been getting reaction today. He joins me. So what did you hear from Republicans you caught up with?
Well, not a whole lot, Anderson. I talked to Republican after Republican about the Michael Cohen tape, about whether they had any concerns about the president and his campaign, not telling the truth to the American public about any legal risks that may be hovering over this presidency in light of this new revelation. But Republican after Republican declined to comment. Do you think the White House has been honest to the American public about what's happened here?
No, I don't know enough about this to evaluate that.
Do you think the White House needs to explain what happened here with this Cohen deal right before the elections?
I have no knowledge of any of that.
Did the president, the White House explain what happened here?
That's up to them. We have enough to worry about with tariffs and everything else.
I really don't know anything about that, so I don't feel like I'm competent to talk about that.
I don't want to talk about smarmy kind of stuff.
So even some critics of the president, like Jeff Flake, Bob Corker, did not want to touch this story at all, and that's not unusual. Oftentimes, Republicans don't want to talk about the controversy after controversy coming out of this White House. Some because they're allies of the president. They don't want to anger the base of the party. They don't want to spark any sort of revolt. Others, they want to stick onto the territory. They're more comfortable criticizing the president over, like as Jeff Flake said, about tariffs. But that was a universal response today, Anderson. Republicans did not want to go anywhere near this unfolding scandal because they don't know where it's going to go, Anderson.
Yeah, Mano, thanks very much. Joining me now is Congressman Mark Sanford, Republican from South Carolina. Congressman Sanford, thanks for being with us. What do you make of this tape and also your Republican colleagues' almost collective silence on the matter?
Well, I'm not going to speak for other colleagues, but what I'd say, at least from my perspective, is that it's incredibly disturbing. Because leaving aside the legal issues and the federal election issues and all the other issues that people have been talking about, I think in the last segment you pegged it, which is fundamentally what we have going on is that the president has institutionalized, if you will, the idea of it being okay to tell a lie. People don't bat an eye, and there's not strong pushback from the Hill, there's not strong pushback from the American public, but in essence we've institutionalized at the presidential level continuous lies one after the other, and I think that, as Alan Dershowitz just alluded to, this is an incredible problem in a trust-based system, which is ultimately a democracy.
I mean, I think it's brave of you to say that. It's incredibly depressing also just to hear you say that. I mean, the reality of that is just incredibly depressing.
It is what it is.
One of your Republican colleagues on the Senate side, Senator Mike Rounds, said this morning that while he's not okay with this, quote, it's just simply not an item that is a surprise to us. I guess if this were a Democrat, if this were a President Obama or President Hillary Clinton, would there be more outrage by Republicans' voice? And I assume the answer would be yes.
I mean, yeah, you know the answer to the question before you ask it on that one, and that's the way it works up here. And if it's a Democratic thing and Republicans are outraged and vice versa. But I think to his point, I think he's probably accurate in a political sense. It has been baked into the cake of what's acceptable or what's okay, and that's the bigger problem. In a trust-based political system, the idea that you institutionalize lying is a real problem.
It does seem to me, and we've sort of heard this from folks on Capitol Hill, that it seems like one tactic people are taking is just ignore what the president's tweeting, ignore the kind of stuff he comes out with, and just focus on what the actual policies are. And that's a safer place to react to because that's what's real, and often the actual policies are different than the incendiary rhetoric in a tweet.
That's fair enough on issues like this. But if you look at what's happening concurrently on the whole tariff and bailout issue, are you kidding me? I mean, I was the first governor in the nation to turn back then President Obama's stimulus package, which were bailouts. And I made a fairly long argument as to why I didn't think they made sense. We now have a Republican Party that is muted and silent on the issue of a bailout package, which is what is being proposed in consequence to the tariffs that the administration itself imposed.
The thing about this is it's not just the fact that the president and Cohen talked about this payment, it's that the campaign put out a statement denying any knowledge of this, and maybe they were lied to too. I mean, that's entirely possible. But even if they were, I don't know. I mean, I know it's naive or just dumb to expect at this point, you know, the White House to come out and say, you know what, a year ago we were wrong, and you know, that's just a fact.
Well, I mean, I think it's all long been observed. This White House doesn't apologize, and I get it. Again, it is what it is on that front.
I want to get your reaction to the president's comments today with European Commission President. He declared it a quote, very big day for free and fair trade, and said they agreed to work toward eliminating tariffs and barriers on trade. I mean, is it a very big day for free and fair trade? I mean, you just were referencing this.
I don't think so, because we don't know what comes out of the negotiations with the European Union. Meanwhile, we have tariffs in place and counter tariffs that have been imposed from real allies. I mean, the idea of Canada being a national security threat is something that doesn't make a whole lot of sense in anybody's book. And we see consequences. Back home in South Carolina, Zodiac boats are produced in Summerville, South Carolina. They are on the hit list, if you will, from Canada, and their ability to hire additional folks has now been impacted. And you can go down a long list of other industries in other states in this country that have seen similar retaliation. So what I'd say is it's a diversion, because we will see what comes next with the European Union, but at the end of the day, what you've really got to watch are the Chinese. And the Chinese take a very different approach to negotiations than the Europeans do, and we don't know what comes there next.
Congressman Sanford, I appreciate your perspective. Thank you.